American houses are notorious for their poor build quality. Cardboard walls that a 5-year-old can punch through, the slightest sound can be heard from one room to another, and the houses themselves, they don't feel they will last 30 years in pristine condition like European brick houses. But in fact, despite really some of the quality deficiencies present in American houses, this structure is quite ingenious for many practical reasons. As a European myself, I can tell that many of us here look at American houses with a little smirk, and we have reasons why. Most of our homes are made of brick or concrete and have stood in pristine condition for centuries. Here, it's not surprising to live in a century-old house since the brick is that durable. And looking from that perspective at American houses that seem like they were built literally like a house of cards we have reasons. The truth is though that many Europeans, including me in the past, don't quite understand how different American Europe are on all levels. The geography, climate, mentality, and even availability of resources. Europe is limited in its access to trees, while America has an abundance of forests that can be used for construction. North America produces 75 million tons of wood pulp annually, whereas Europe produces only half of it, approximately 36 million tons. That's why wood is the most widely used construction material in the United States, particularly for residential buildings. Census data show that nationwide, out of 14,000 multifamily buildings completed in 2015, more than 87% were wood frame. Of 648,000 single-family houses constructed that year, more than 93% were wood frames. And in the earthquake-prone western United States, roughly 98% of all existing homes, from modest dwellings to luxurious mansions, are wood frame structures, such as this row of houses in San Francisco. That's the first argument for why the way Americans build their homes is brilliant, because they use the most available resource they have. This abundance of material means that the price will be lower and you will be able to get it faster. Not only that, but it's so much easier to maintain and repair wood than brick or concrete. It's also quicker to build American houses. On average, building a wooden house from scratch takes 3 to 6 months. In Germany though, it will take at least 8 months to make a similar size house from brick. Not only does it lower the price even further, since you will pay less for labor, but it also meets the needs of American society. America is one of the most mobile nations in the world, meaning that they move across the country and between the houses quite often. On average, Americans move 11.7 times in their lifetimes, while Europeans only 4. There's a fundamental necessity to construct houses quick. The next thing to keep in mind is climate. More than 50% of the US population lives in subtropical or temperate temperatures. As of 2022, 128 million Americans lived in the warm south and another 78 million lived in the mild west. This means there is less need for thermal insulation in the US than in Germany, Poland, and especially in Scandinavian countries, where temperatures can get quite low. But there is one more thing: natural disasters. The vast majority of the US population lives in earthquake-prone areas, and another part lives in Tornado Alley. Building seismically resistant structures is vital, and there is no better material for this purpose than wood. Horyuji Temple in Japan is the oldest wooden building in the world, and it stayed untouched for 1300 years. Despite countless earthquakes spanning several centuries. You can learn more about this unique structure in this video. While American houses are not as sturdy as Horyuji Temple, they still drastically outperform brick and concrete houses. This is because the wood can flex, while concrete and brick buildings are brittle and can easily crumble under the force of an earthquake. It means that wood frame buildings can withstand higher levels of ground shaking. In addition to being able to absorb more energy, wood frame buildings are also able to dissipate energy more quickly. It allows for the building to remain structurally sound even after an earthquake. Constructors can also use various techniques to make wood frame buildings even more resistant to earthquakes. One such technique is to use shear walls constructed using strong, thick wooden boards connected by metal bolts. These shear walls are then attached to the frame of the building and can help provide stability during an earthquake. Other techniques include using fasteners designed to resist seismic forces and braced frames to provide additional support. In the end of the day, The American house design is much more practical than it initially seems. Such structure allows to lower the price, meets the society's needs, and most importantly, it's safe. Keep in mind that in some states like California, you are not even allowed to build brick houses, all because of safety. Thanks for watching. Peace.